et historique pays d'Haïti. Une télévision qui l'a 24 sur 24 pour voir toutes nouvelles nationales et internationales. D'ailleurs, si vous avez aimé produire émission par sur radio ou bien sur télévision BCN, ou t'as aimé nous filmer service dimanche l'église ou, pas de problème. Juste relais dans 617 290 16 60. 617 290 16 60 pour plus d'informations. Et pas oublier, nous sur toutes plateformes comme Roku, Facebook, Fire Stick, YouTube et nous sous chaîne 31.3 local. BCN, c'est télévision pour communauté caribéenne. BCN.
Bonjour tout le monde. Mes amis, en cause, entrez la caille pour l'autre émission. Excusez-nous parce que nous on petit gens en retard aujourd'hui, on va tout nous dans l'autre studio, hein, parce que nous avons un petit problème technique aujourd'hui, hein. So, même connaît tout le monde qui est super branché ou toujours là, il y a tant en cause parce que nous avons une belle émission pour aujourd'hui, hein. Qui j'en nous est? C'est semaine Thanksgiving, nous souhaitons que tout le monde te mange en pile, mais pas trop en pile. Enjoy turkey. Mais ça qui est plus important, c'est de passer temps avec famille, nous, avec amis, parce que nous connaissons saison fête là privée, c'est le pour tout le monde passer temps ensemble avec famille, avec amis ou pour nous partager temps ensemble parce que c'est important. So, aujourd'hui, nous avons une chose spéciale. Parce que pile monde te gâte un flyer, hein? C'est deux belles mesdames dans le studio avec aujourd'hui, hein? Parce que c'est le saison fête commencer en pile monde c'est aussi moun yo pour compte yo gen doit penser gen doit gen petit découragement. So, nous avons fait un show déjà avec des mesdames ça, nous avons parlé de l'arrivée dans la trentaine, nous en pile haïtien doit dire quitter calendrier mais ou toujours pour compte ou pour marier ou pas faire petit monde et en pile fois moun yo toujours penser ça son sentence ou bien son mauvais bagay lié mais nous-mêmes nous voulons en causer dans BCN nous voulons montrer on l'autre phase là-dedans parce qu'en pile fois ou gen doit pour compte ça veut dire la vie infinie, ça veut dire qu'on pas qu'à vivre une vie qui fill with avec un pile joie et tout ça pendant waptan parce que saison là où single gen doit son saison waptan gen doit saison ça c'est comme ça bon Dieu veut pour tous son croyant. So quand même content parce que non seulement mesdames ça yo moi aime yo en pile parce que pas seulement parce que c'est yo famille mioye mais yo zanmim tout et deux petits cousines moi dis petits cousines parce que yo plus jeune passé moi même moi dans quarantaine moi yo même yo dans trentaine yo toujours so c'est petits cousines moi de babysit yo même changer diaper yo tout. Mais je dis I'm fière parce que des mesdames ça et des mesdames moins fières de yo de accomplissement yo et puis Jean yo comme deux jeunes femmes. So et puis plus c'est anglais yo parler, so on fait introduction en créole mais là nous commencer parler en pile dans émission en anglais. So nous connaissons en causer nous bilingue, so on pense en pile monde qui est fanatique en causer nous pas un problème à ça. So je dis am gen avec moi Rachel Brézia qui c'est petite cousine moi. Rachel, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you guys once again.
It's so good to have you. But maybe say parlons petit créole.
So my name is Rachel.
Ouais, tu vite la
I was
belle.
introduced to be. I am the little cousin of Nurls, born and raised in Massachusetts, and I currently work as a nurse for Boston Hospital, and I'm also pursuing my Doctor of Nursing Practice degree.
T'as c'est docteur Rachel, oui.
Soon comes.
Respecté. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank
and then
you.
we have them two cousins, my Caroline Senafis. Welcome, girls.
Hi. I'm back.
You're back. It's so good to have you back.
Thank you for having
Are you gonna
me.
try to say something in Creole? Rachel fait moi.
Non, c'est Caroline Senafis. Je fais ici,
Yay!
à Boston. Mais pas tellement fort, so, you know. But that's all I got.
That's
for
all you got. Mes amis, merci avec vous faire effort pour parler créole. Oui, pas faute nous non, mesdames, yo pas tellement, mais vous comprenez créole là 100%.
Oui.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming back on the show. And I know, a lot of people reached out because they enjoyed the last segment that we have because you guys were very transparent. You talked about, just the experience of being single, but I didn't want to focus only on dating. I think, in the flyer we did say dating in your 30s, but I also want us to talk about what doing your single season, because people usually frown on it. So first of all, we'll start with you, Rachel.
Okay.
How are things going in your dating season? Because some of the fans probably wondering, are they still single? Did they find men? How are things
Right.
going in your dating season right now?
All right, drum roll, please. So I am happily single, and it's been quite the year and a half. I've had the opportunity to just work on a lot of things, grow in many areas of my life, and occasionally do a little bit of dating, but I am still single. So that's the update.
I love the happily single, though. Happily
Mhm.
single. Even though you have the desire, doesn't mean that you're miserably single. You're
Right.
happily single.
Right.
Carlene, what's the latest update?
I am also happily single. One thing I have learned about myself is that I'm dating myself, and I
love that.
and I like her. So
I like her too.
Yeah, like I'll go to movies by myself. I'll go out to eat by myself, and then I realized in doing that I actually really enjoy spending time alone.
And that's so, and we're gonna get into that because that's so important. Like, I just want to kind of go back, growing up as children of Haitian parents. You're Haitian American, and there's something in the Haitian community that you're born, and our parents work really hard. There's nothing better than our Haitian parents. We love you guys. They work hard. They take care of you. The expectation is l'église la caille l'école.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, bagay ménage, ou pa nan pale de sa. Then they expect, wal nan collège, zo fin nan collège, kounya, kote monsieur an fò marié.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about that, though, because we didn't have that time to actually learn to date, or it wasn't afforded or allowed to us. So what does that even mean to you, growing up as a Haitian American and now in your 30s and kind of looking back? And this is not a thing to blame our Haitian parents or to be negative, but we got to be honest. We got to have the conversation. And where it's lacking as far as like in our development, where, do you understand what dating is? Is it something that you had to learn in your late 20s? Who wants to take this on?
I'll go second.
All right. I mean, go ahead.
Okay, sure. So yeah, there's been like a little bit of there's always a little bit of pressure of like, okay, when are you gonna find somebody? Especially because I do have older parents as well. But I've learned that in order to take just the pressure off of myself, I also respectfully have to acknowledge that I'm not doing it for my parents. And it's really just God's timing, and it's my own timing, and it's my it's my preferences, and so that's something that has always just been key for me, is taking that pressure off of myself, because with that added pressure, it kind of just goes into a cycle of it sort of just bleeds into sadness a little bit, like you're failing to meet a certain expectation or a certain timeline. And I had to kind of just push back and be like, okay, I know that, eventually my parents want this for me and want me to settle down. I want that for myself too, but it can't be on their timing. It can't be based on their expectations for myself.
That's so important.
So yeah, so I've learned to kind of just deal with that. And it's actually made me happy and content in my singleness.
And it takes a very strong individual that you are comfortable with yourself, that, because we know going against our Haitian parents can be tough, but I think as we grow older, you built that boundary that, Mom, sure, I respect you. I respectfully disagree.
Right.
This is the route that I'm taking,
right,
but I'm still your daughter. I honor you and all of that.
Right.
What about you, Rach?
So for me, I think it's been a little bit different. I haven't necessarily felt the pressure from my parents in terms of a timeline for marriage, for kids. There's definitely always been an emphasis on home, church, and school. But I am grateful for those emphasis, because I think it's really laid a strong foundation in who I am, the things that I value, and the things that I continue to pursue in life. And so I think I feel more of a pressure coming from just different societal influences.
I was going to bring that, because in addition to being Haitian, And, because the whole measure of success, right? Where some might look at all three of us and say we've been pretty successful. We have higher degrees, we work, we're professionals. But then others might look, well, Madame Sadi beaucoup mariée toujours. Li pa gen ti moun. So la ville pas bon. So, it's that whole measure. So beyond the Haitian piece, but there's also society at large,
Right.
and the time frame of the time, because women, we are on a time, like there's a limit with the time, especially if you want to have children. So with both of them together, are you able to set that same boundaries when it comes to the societal pressures?
I think so, definitely. I feel like early in my 20s, I felt like I had to like be married by like my late 20s, and then so that the next step would be to have children. And then, now that I'm in my 30s and am enjoying my 30s, taking that pressure off again, just going back, made me feel like, I wasn't failing or I wasn't measuring up to some standard. 'Cause you always have to kind of just look at yourself and like what you really want. I think that's what it was for. It's easier to fall into the societal pressure. Like you got to get your degree, you got to get married, then you have children. But you have to just sort of do some self-reflection and realize or ask yourself what it is you really want. And I had to do a little bit of that. Yes, I mean, I'm being vulnerable. Like, sure, I would like to have children someday in the future, but that might not be a part of my story, and I've accepted that.
That's huge.
Right.
That is huge.
I do, but I also acknowledge that I want companionship more than I want to be a parent.
We've always connected that way.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Rach?
Yeah. So in terms of societal influences, I think it's definitely there. But like Curls said so wonderfully, it's just always doing that self-reflection, right? And also recognizing that social media is just a highlight of people's lives, right? It's probably less than 5%, of really what's going on behind the scenes. And just prioritizing the things you want to do in life. I've had the opportunity to travel all across the world in my 20s, and I would never want to trade that for anything. In my 30s, it's just been such a beautiful phase in my life where I've gotten to just grow as a person, become more vulnerable, connect with family members, and just tap into a new level of who I am. And I love it,
I love that. And I love that young women are able to see this, because it was different for me in my 20s, because it was always kind of like chasing that idea of, oh my gosh, time is running out. I need to find this husband, because we set these timelines, that you want to have a husband. And then what's funny, because my mom got married later in life. So back in the days, if you were in your 30s, you weren't married. Like people even say she was never going to get married. She got married at 30, didn't have me until she was 32. So, and people thought, oh, but then me, I always thought, okay, I have until I'm 32, because my mom didn't get married until she was that age. So I have until I'm 32. Then 32 came and went, and there was no husband. Then 33 and so on. And now I'm 44. But I think now taking the time to get to know yourself and to understand your values, understand who you are. And I've come to appreciate that God's timing is always perfect. And when I do some self-reflection, had I gotten married when I was in my 20s, I would probably be divorced right now or just be miserable. Had I gotten married when I was in my 30s, and it's not even blaming that individual that I would have been married to, it was me. And I think people never think about getting yourself ready for your person. So let's talk about that. What are some of the things that you do? Because I know you guys have the desire, right, to find a partner. But in your season of singleness, because I don't want to say in your season of waiting, although it is waiting, but what are some of the things that you're doing to prepare yourself for this husband, and hopefully he's doing the same thing? I'll start with you, Rachel.
All right. Well, I'm doing a lot. I have a full plate. I am working as a nurse, and I love that. It's definitely my passion.
And she's a wonderful nurse who's been highlighted by the greatest hospital in Massachusetts.
So I definitely find great purpose in that. I love caring for the patients I'm able to care for. I'm also on a lot of just strategic planning work where we focus on diversifying the nursing workforce. So any young nurses out here, definitely reach out, connect. I'd love to just give you some advice and guidance.
We might have to do another show where you talk about your journey, because especially a lot of young Haitian who just recently migrated, a lot of them are very focused on wanting to enter into the medical field. So you'll come back
Absolutely
for another show focusing more on the nursing. But go ahead. Go
right.
on.
So that's an area of my life that, is well fulfilled. I'm also as it comes to academics, I'm pursuing my DNP degree, and that as well, just giving me lots of purpose. I love it. I look forward to learning and just really becoming an expert in the field of nursing. I'm also a caregiver. I have the beautiful opportunity to take care of my mother, who is ill. So that brings me great joy.
I love how you said that. And I know, and I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that. And Rachel is an amazing human being. Not only is she a great cousin, she's a great friend, she's a wonderful daughter. So any man who would even step up, first of all, he needs to be worthy of you. And so I'm so glad you mentioned. I just wanted to take that time to give you your flowers.
Thank you.
But you already know that. You already know how I feel about you.
Yes, I do. I have an amazing family. So that's an area of my life that I wasn't necessarily anticipating, but it's brought so much joy, so much growth. And not to say it hasn't come with its challenges. It's very difficult. But at the same time, I've just learned a lot. And in terms of just friends and family, just continuing to just form beautiful memories with those people in my life. So I do feel very fulfilled in most areas of my life. The desire to date and find a companion, a husband, is definitely there. But just trusting in God's timing and knowing that it will happen when it's meant to happen.
Now, beyond, I love all the accomplishments and everything, and all the things that you're doing, but what are some of the things that you've learned about you internally as a person, and how you're moving towards being open? Because there's a lot going on in your life right now.
Right.
So do you think there's space? I'm putting you in the hot seat. Do you think there's space right now when, let's say there's a man watching right now thinking, oh, this is a wonderful young lady, but would you have time? Are you creating space for that person?
I think space can definitely be created.
Okay.
And just one of the things that I've learned is I'm very much a nurturer. I love taking care of people. I love just nurturing people. But I've also learned that when it comes to dating and who I'm looking for to spend the rest of my life, I want to be taken care of, because I do so in so many areas of my life, I'm caregiving, right? When it comes to my mother, my patients, and so that is definitely one of the big things I'm looking for. Do you have the ability to provide and just nurture me? And can I find rest in your arms?
It's very important.
Yeah, so.
Carlene?
That's
It's hard to follow. Listen, she was raw, she was vulnerable.
Well, I mean, I think, so it's funny because I don't really think about the things that I'm doing to get ready, because I have a bit of an ego and I kind of feel like, well, what are you doing to get ready for me? But I know, I know there's still work that needs to be done. And again, to like Rachel's point, it's just like kind of, relearning things about yourself, because I too enjoy traveling in my personal or leisure time. But I feel like for me, I think that I feel very fulfilled in my life.
Okay.
And I just want somebody who's just going to add to that, add value to that. I don't need you for a particular thing. And it's not to say that other people do, but again, there's just emphasis that I place on, having a fulfilled life and being happy and content in my singleness, and just wanting somebody who's going to add to that.
Are you creating space for that to happen?
So in my mind, I think I do, but a lot of people have told me that I don't make myself available enough. So maybe.
How do you receive that? Do you receive that as something that, okay, maybe I need to look into it and kind of make some changes?
That's exactly how I receive it. And it's still a work in progress.
The reason I'm asking those questions is because these are, Black women are among the highest group of people that are single. Not only Black women, but Black educated women, and we are some of the highest group of like educated people with higher education, and being successful. So I think a lot of it, often people would just blame the man. Oh, these guys will always come back and say, we're intimidating. Well, if they're saying I'm intimidating, then they're not my man, because I know I've said that. But I think sometimes it takes time for us to kind of step back and think about ourselves.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
in your moment, in your time of being single, what are the things that because do you recognize your flaws?
Right.
And are you working on them? Do you recognize even emotionally being available emotionally? Like, are you creating space for someone to actually reach out? Because I remember your dad told me when I was like probably 22, Rachel's dad's my uncle. And he was like, il va marier, no? Quel trop content. and I think it might have been Diana who was over, and we were laughing about something. When quel trop content about marier. And it's one of those things that it stuck with me. I don't think it's so much about quel content, but I think sometimes when you feel so fulfilled in your life, are you then not necessarily creating space for someone to step in? So it's really then how do we create that space to let someone know, listen, I still have my strong boundaries. I still have my standards, but I am open and I'm willing and so on. But I love that you had mentioned being vulnerable. So let's talk about the list. I know, people have their list, because I've had my list. It's been edited over the years. So let's talk about your list. What's currently on your list right now as far as like the partner that you're looking for?
I mean, it changes over time.
Well, what is it right now?
And I feel like the standards kind of, I don't know, you have to be a little bit more open when, like, the older you get.
Yeah.
But, I mean, okay, somebody who is just infatuated with me. Like, and I need to feel that. I'm like a cat. I need affection.
I hate cats.
Hey.
Sometimes it's not enough. Like, you have to show me that you're into me. Like, I shouldn't be having a question like, do you like me? So it's that, but also just, somebody who's open to like just trying new things. Like, I really enjoy traveling, so if you're at least open to that, I know people who are just not into it, but if you're at least open to that, that's critical for me. Okay. Somebody who knows that they are not always in control.
It's funny coming from you.
I know, because I am a control freak, and that's something
you have
that
leadership
I've been learning.
qualities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm learning too. I like learning in this season that, Carlene, you're not always in control. That's very hard. Are we gonna go into like the physical, or is that too superficial?
You can talk about that. It's part of life. I know you like your dad bods, so you can talk about the physical.
Yeah, I'm still into my dad bods. Not too ripped. Not skinny,
Please share with them what you said earlier before the show started.
Oh, wait. Oh, because I was like, okay, not too pretty. I said I like my men a little ugly, so the girls can stay away.
So if you are a man who's ugly. Medium ugly.
Yes. Post a comment.
I just don't want everybody liking them,
If you consider yourself medium ugly, I cannot believe you said that, but... Okay, so you have your physical, but beyond that though, you want to feel that connection.
Yeah, beyond that, it's just like, because I've actually like dated or have been into people that I'm not immediately attracted to, but they've grown on me because like your personality is just 5-star, like, and that
if
just
your face
happens.
is 1 star, then it kind of brings it to 3-star.
I mean, like,
no,
maybe
it's just, I'm not being mean. It's just
it it makes up. It offsets that.
Right.
But personality has always been like number 1 for me. That's like the most attractive attribute, for me in a guy, is personality.
Personality, absolutely. Rach?
So just what I said earlier, just someone who's going to be a safe landing space. Someone who, I can find rest in their arms. Someone who is going to nurture me, after a long 12.5-hour shift from work, help me take off my sneakers.
Right. But I love that because a lot of times people just assume it's the era of women being independent.
Right.
You're Black women, you're independent, where I think over the years we've had to be, but people are still having a hard time accepting that a lot of Black women are now embracing their femininity
Right.
and wanting to be cared for and wanting you want someone who's going to come and actually protect you
Right.
and take care of you. And so, but are Black men catching on to that? Or are they ready for that?
I mean, I think they are. I think anyone can really work on themselves and make themselves ready. I think it's just about communicating what your expectations are, what your needs are. For a while, I didn't know that I needed to be taken care of because I was always taking care of everyone else. And I do a great job at it. I do a great job of taking care of myself as well. But I think I've just learned to really think that it's so sweet when there's a guy there who wants to take care of you, you know, and who wants to be like, all right, baby, it's okay. Like, you know, come to sleep. I made you dinner.
Lovely. So you should know how to cook.
It would be nice. It would be nice.
So is that something that's on your list? A caretaker, someone who's considerate is what I'm hearing?
Definitely considerate. As far as physical, I mean, I'm okay with the dad bod. I too don't really like a super ripped, you know, gym head. Yeah. I do like a pretty face though. I'm not really negotiating on medium ugly. No. I mean, I think we're all too pretty to, you know. But no, it definitely goes beyond physical. Yeah. And I think in my 20s, I focused a lot on physical, and you miss the great personalities. So
those 20-year-olds watching, you know, just think about that. And again, everybody's season and your story, you know, you learn, but maybe if you had heard somebody in their 30s talking about, you know what, the physicality, it fades. Anything could happen, but it's really the actual person. So now let's talk about your recent experience from the last time you guys were here until now. How has it been with dating on these streets?
It's wild.
It's wild?
It's rough out here.
It's okay. What is it about dating? Tell me about, you know, your experience recently with dating.
I mean, I did try speed dating for the first time.
Ooh.
That was an experience, and I think
tell some people might not know what speed dating is. So if you want to share that.
Okay, so speed dating occurs when you go to a particular venue and you talk to a set of maybe 5 or 10 different people for 5 minutes. It's essentially like online dating, but in person. So, and I like the concept because, nobody has to lie about their height or, or like their physical attributes. And it's like,
there's no filters.
There are no filters. And like, you have a lot of great conversations and you meet a lot of interesting people. So that's what I think that I would do it again, maybe one more time. Cause it was like, it was an interesting experience. But I don't know. It's, I tell people, I know this is going to sound disappointing, but I tell people all the time, just because I'm transparent, but I don't know how to date. And it sounds like a little crazy coming from a 35-year-old, but...
No, she said her age. It's not crazy, but you said that last time.
Yeah.
What has stopped you from actually looking into and learning how to date? Because that's part of that personal responsibility, right? If you already acknowledge you don't know how to date, then what are you doing to learn how to date?
I think, my first step was just navigating a new way to date, which was speed dating.
I'm so proud that you did that.
But
beyond that,
if I'm honest, nothing else. And I think for me, I wish there were just more avenues that I guess I was more aware of in terms of dating, because everyone's like, okay, go online. But I'm like, oh, I've tried that. And then I've done speed dating now. I wish there were just more ways for people who are interested in the same kind of things, hobbies, activities, to kind of just get together and then, just have a day. I mean, I don't know if that's realistic, but like, that's my thing,
So wait, what's your idea of dating? Because when you say you don't know how to date, I mean, my definition of dating is really collecting data. You can meet someone, you basically you hang out, you get to know each other, and both of you collect the data, and you decide, okay, do we have enough in common that I want to keep seeing you?
Right.
So what is it like? What's your idea? Are you making it bigger than it is? That you're saying you don't know how? Because you are able to interact. You're a normal person.
Well, that's the thing. But I feel like people just complicate dating. It's just like, and I think that society places like this expectation. Like, I don't need you. Yes, I like to go out and be wine and dine. But like, I also appreciate a guy. If a guy says, hey, let's go out to a picnic. Let's go out for ice cream. Let's go out for coffee.
Let's go out for water.
Let's go out for water. Let's go out for...
Listen.
Right. Like, let's go out for a walk. I'll even go hiking, okay? Like, it's just, like, little activities. I think that I think society, like, just, kind of, there's, like, this skewed expectation of like what dating has to be, and I'm like,
so should you then
things.
change your verbiage to not necessarily saying you don't know how to date, but it's just what's available right now?
I guess yes. I guess
so.
I think
It's because it's
right
not
now.
so much that you closed off to dating.
Right.
If you met a gentleman who's healthy in all the ways account, and came up to you and said, "I think you're the most beautiful woman in the world. I would love to take you out." You're not gonna say, "Ew, no."
That does feel a little love bombing, but sure. Yes.
No, but yeah. I'm just saying, I mean, obviously I kind of overdid it, but
Right.
you would be open to that,
Yes,
and
for
actually
sure.
consider going out with them, but it's just
Yeah.
a matter of finding the qualities
Yes,
of what you're
it's
looking
the
for. So
quality.
quality is what's really missing.
I think that's what it is. I think you need
Rachel, what's
yeah.
been your recent dating experience, or is it there's been a lack of that?
I mean, there's definitely been a lack of that, but I mean, a year is a long time, so there's definitely been some opportunities to date. I think what's missing is honesty and transparency. I think the older I get, the more I meet people who just aren't honest about where they are in life or their situation. And unfortunately, what happens is you are walking in assuming, giving the person the benefit of the doubt, thinking they're going to offer you honesty. And later on, whether it's through social media or a friend of a friend, you're learning that this person has, so-and-so or, another situation going on. And it's hurtful. And it can, depending on how you process it, it can either cause you to become really like resentful and not want to put yourself out there time after time again, or you just learn that everyone is different and everyone deserves a fair shot. But that's been my experience. I think this year is just a little lack of honesty in some of the folks that I've interacted with on the dating field.
And can I just add to Rachel, like another thing too is the lack of honesty and transparency about expectations.
From the individual or from you?
From the individual.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Well, for
Tell us
both
more.
of us,
Tell us
both
more
of
about
us.
that.
I mean, I think I'm pretty straightforward with like my expectations. But a lot of people, I feel like they're kind of just. I feel like some guys they kind of just need an ego boost, and they're not clear about what their expectations are. Like, if I'm dating, yes, I'm collecting data, but long term, I'm also dating so that I could, find somebody to settle down with.
So you're dating with intention,
I'm
with
dating
purpose.
with intention and purpose.
Yes. And it's hard to find men out there who is actually dating with purpose.
Right.
I'm someone that I do online dating. I have a funny story because Haitian family or Haitian parents or even Haitian old, folks who are more Haitian maybe than I am, like Dominique. When they don't understand dating, I'm calling him out because, I remember I had a conversation with him a few weeks ago, and even with my mom, because my mom is currently, she's with me because my brother and I share custody. And I'm like, oh, I'm going on a date. And she was like, oh, date? And so I go, and it's a good time. I get home, and then a few weeks later, I'm going on another date. And then she was like, kote date sa? I think automatically they think, while on a date, that's your boyfriend.
Right.
And even Dominique, because he had called me, I'm like, I was on a date. He was like, ooh, going over menage? No, it's really dating people.
Right.
But I think even with that, you could meet someone and you feel connected.
Right.
But then it's either where they are in their life. So it would be ideal if people would actually take the time to get themselves healthy.
Right.
And then actually ready. Because I've had people saying to me, well, dating with intention, everybody has intention. It's just a matter of what your intention is. So I try not to even say intention. I say purpose. But even with purpose, you have to know your own purpose.
Right.
You have to have purpose then to know, okay, am I someone who is ready to be somebody's husband? And just like we have to ask ourselves, am I someone who's ready to be somebody's wife? I think right now in this present time, I am ready to be somebody's wife. Was I ready 10 years ago? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I think it's important for you to actually do the work. And a lot of people have not done the work. Do the work. Even if you grew up in a household where your parents were pretty amazing, but these are flawed humans raising a flawed human. So there's some trauma that if you don't deal with, you will bring into your relationship. So I think often people don't think about that. But I'm going to get off my soapbox right now and kind of talk more about the pressure that society put on women. Because do you think men in their 30s, and Dominique, I don't know if we're going to open the line for people to call in. I know Rachel really wanted that. But do you guys think, this is a general question, do you guys think that men in their 30s feel the same pressure that you both feeling right now as single women in your 30s? Not even in your early 30s, in your mid 30s. I know they look young.
I'll go first on that. I think just Black women in general, you know, we are unfortunately born to bear responsibility, you know, and we are almost like groomed, and especially in a Haitian household, you are groomed to just be a caretaker, a provider, and just wear all kinds of hats, right? So I think when Black women reach the age of 30, they have this like self-reckoning where they're just like, okay, who am I? You know, who do I want to be? And we put in the work, we go to therapy, we pursue our degrees, and by the time we're in our 30s, late 30s, mid 30s, whatever it be, we're probably at a better place to be the wife we want to be, right? And I think for men at 30s, it's a little different. If we're talking about Haitian men are, you know, very catered to in a Haitian household.
No, let's talk about it. Haitian mothers,
right?
Their sons are treated completely different than the girls,
right?
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to the age 30, there are a lot of men who still don't truly understand responsibility, and they're still learning about themselves and growing. So I do feel like men in their 30s are very different than Black women in their 30s.
And when you say men, are you saying Black men or Haitian men or men in general?
I will say Black men and categorize Haitian men into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
guess that's all I have experience.
I would say all men, yeah. But I hear you though.
Yeah.
Girls?
Yeah, no, I definitely second that. A lot of men, well, Black men and Haitian men in particular, tend to be catered to. So I think the expectations and the trajectories are different for women than they are for those men. So by the time we're, you know, in our 30s or at an age where we've developed or grown and matured, where, you know, we feel ready, we can actually say out loud, oh, I'm ready to be a wife or a mother. Whereas men, I feel like they get to a place where they're sort of just props. And it's not all men. But, you know, it's just like, you know, that's kind of what it is. It's just like, oh, here's my man, you know. What can he do?
My
you know?
husband.
Right.
My husband.
Right. You know. And then
Say hi, baby.
Right. And then if you take it
Not now.
right. And then if you take it a step further, there isn't like the pressure to like, you know, men can really have children at any age, you know. I'm geriatric right now. I just turned 35, you know.
You are not well.
No, she
technically,
in the medical world,
right.
yes,
Technically, I'm
yes,
geriatric.
yes.
So, you know, I think there's a little less pressure or expectation for them than they are for us.
Yeah.
And I would love to have, you know, a round table with some single Haitian men and get their perspective. Because I'm sure there are a few out there who are having a hard time. Not today, Dominique. You're not invited today.
No. The next time we come back. We'll
But
get some.
I love giving Dominique a hard time. But yes, we'll have a round table to kind of get the male perspective. But I think society puts the pressure on women because we bear children.
Right.
And so I think one of the things that still kind of it breaks my heart. I think I deal with it more so better now than before. But my mom, everybody knows, I have no doubt my mom is extremely proud of me. She's proud of the job that she's done. I think not only she loves me, I know she likes me as a person. Everyone who knows our relationship will know that. But I think one of the things that keeps breaking her heart, and she talks about it, is that she doesn't want to leave this earth to know that I'm by myself. And also she wanted a grandchild from me. And so I think I had to grieve that, because at my age, it's not going to happen. I had to, well, unless the Lord says so, which I hope the Lord is not saying so. But it won't happen because I'm at a certain age. But I think it's really women removing that pressure. I think Carol said it earlier that she wanted the companionship more so than the children. But women in their 30s watching right now, I really think people have done a disservice for people, for some women not looking into egg freezing, because there are a lot of women that actually go through major breakdowns, just realizing that always wanted to be a mom and it didn't happen. I did everything right. Why is it not happening? And that's a whole different show. But I wanted at least to touch upon that grieving the idea of not having children it's a thing. It's something serious.
I don't feel that pressure, I think, because I have a lot of family members and just people I know in their 40s who are just starting their families and who have little babies, and they're 45 running around chasing a 5-year-old.
So, 45 having a baby.
But
God.
You know what? If it's God's timing, then I think it'll all work out. And I would love to be at a place when I start having children to be so proud of everything I've accomplished and realize, okay, now I can pour in 100% into my children. I've gotten everything else out of the way. I've done all the check boxes that I've had for myself, and now it's all about my kids. And I think that happens, in your 40s. And
For
people
some.
have healthy kids in their 40s, and there are also so many different ways to have kids, right? There's adoptions, there's just so many different avenues to have kids. And I don't think we should, limit ourselves to think just because we've reached a certain age does not mean we cannot have children.
Well said. That was a nice little podcast.
Thank you. Mic drop.
Encouragement for women. But I also think people have to really have the desire and want it. I don't
Very
encourage people just running around. Because I remember people have said to me, family members have said, when I was in my late 20s, in my early 30s, oh, just have a kid. Fonti petit no mama. Husband, and that should never be the case. It should never be that fonti petit. You have to be in a space in your life that you wanted. But I think I've always wanted the partner more so than the babies. The babies would have been great, and I think I would have been an amazing mom.
Absolutely.
But it's just a matter of it's timing, and it's also where your heart is at that moment.
Very true.
So somebody asked a question. Do you guys have any things that are off your list as far as what's the youngest or oldest you would date right now? Kara, since you shared your age, you're 35. So what's the youngest age you would date?
So I've always said no more than 10 years older than I am. So I would date a 45-year-old, up to a 45-year-old. Right now, I wouldn't date anyone younger than 30.
Okay. And why is that?
Because men just in my experience, they take longer to mature. And I'm also making an exception because I always say, oh, I wouldn't date anyone younger than my brother. And my brother's 33. So I'm, so, but yeah, 30 is a good age. I'm at the halfway point. I'm almost 40. So I think that's
You're not almost 40. Hold off. Just enjoy your 30s for a little bit longer. But that's a good answer. What about you, Rach? What's the youngest?
It's the same. I think 10 years older would probably be my max. Youngest would probably be 30. That'd be my cutoff.
So if you met a man who's 29 and he's accomplished, he's a professional, his portfolio looks amazing, he's a believer, he owns his own home, and he's like, ma'am, he's
already exceeded the list. So, of course.
So don't put, I think it's really really setting limits when you're saying, because I was gonna go into the race and ethnicity choices or options too, because I think a lot of studies, because everybody's not an expert on Black women in their dating. Everyone podcasts, you know,
Hey, it
articles, they're all talking about us. And I think one of the things they talk about is how Black women limit themselves because we're so loyal to the Black men. And all of us are always looking for Black men. And some of us in the Haitian community really wanted a Haitian. And so if you're limiting yourself with the age, then what about ethnicity? So do you find that as a limitation? Because you could find listen, I met a lot of immature 50-year-olds.
Very true.
So age doesn't really mean anything, you know, as long as they're legal.
Right.
But you know, I would just say just keep that in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
What about ethnicity? Do you guys are mainly focused on Black men, Haitian men, just men of color, or would you be open to the Caucasians?
I've dated outside my race before. I do prefer men of color, but I'm also open to any race.
Okay. Why did you giggle when I said Caucasians?
Because you always say.
Is it my English?
Maybe it's the word choice too. I think. But yeah, I've always been open, and I feel like I've liked that I've always been open because I'm like, okay, at this point I'm like, you gotta cast a wide net because you're not working with much. So, but honestly, but that's just always been me. I'm kind of, again, you could be pretty, and if you have an ugly personality, I'm gonna be turned off. So, but yeah, that's always been my thing.
Preference-wise, definitely, you know, I love my Haitian men. I love Black families. I love Black men. But I am open. Definitely open, so.
Because, you know, studies have shown that Black women and Asian men are the highest numbers. Don't make that face. As single people. The camera's still on you. And so I think the conversation has been, if Black women and Asian men would actually consider each other, then it would kind of bring the gap closer.
I've been attracted to Asian men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I'll move.
One of my great friends is married to a Korean man. They make a beautiful couple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. And we talked about it's really the connection. Connection is so important. And, you know, you meet the person. But I think one of the things that, Carlene, you always tell me is that men don't approach you, which I find so hard to believe. So let's talk about that. Like, why do you think that men just don't approach you?
I think they're scared.
Why? You're not scary.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. And I think that I'm very approachable. But, you know, in a society.
Well, I don't know about very.
Very? Okay. But think about it. If you're out in public, everyone's super clicky.
Yeah.
You're in a group, and then other people are in a group. If a guy is like looking at you or noticing you, you will never know unless they approach you. And it's intimidating to walk up to somebody and assume that they're single, and then try to talk to them. So.
But they just don't approach you. Would you ever approach someone?
No.
Okay. Why?
I have made like the first move just to kind of see. I'm like, okay, maybe if I make the first move, maybe that's what I need to do. And it hasn't really made a difference. So no, I'm not doing that anymore. Okay. But we just want these men out here to approach you because you're available. Right.
For the right person.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Okay. I think men are just, I don't know, they're scared.
That's why we need men. We need men on this panel. Next time we're gonna bring you guys. We're gonna bring 2 single men.
I assume y'all are
scared. We're gonna bring 2 single men. So I was gonna go to Rachel, but you know I'm being told to take a short break. So we're gonna take a short break. You're watching On Causer avec Zami ou Mama. On a parlé de relations, de dating. Qu'est-ce qu'on dit dating en créole? Is it causer? It's not causer.
I know some Creole.
Yeah, no, that's not cause.
I thought that
I don't
thought it
know.
was.
Is it cause?
Yeah.
Maybe. N'a parlé de moun qui notre trentaine ou qui toujours pour quand pour marier, qui jan ba yo ye dehors parce que li yon ti jan difficile pour joindre un partenaire. So ou ka wè émission plus en anglais. So that mande nous excuse parce que deux moun yo c'est plus américain yo ye. So m'a essayé pour me traduire, l'aime capable mais quand même conversation très intéressante parce que nous ka wè deux belles dames ça yo qui éduquées, qui sorti dans bon famille, assez famille. Mais yo toujours single. So nous avons juste à petit gens faire analyser, poser des questions pour nous comprendre pour qui ça ou bien qui difficulté qui gagne dehors pour jeunes filles, spécialement jeunes filles noires qui accompli mais yo pour yo pour joindre un monde pour yo faire vie. N'a tourner tout à l'heure par l'autre côté.
Boston Caribbean Network Television, c'est première télévision communautaire et commerciale qui est là pour promouvoir valeurs culturelles, sociales et historiques pays d'Haïti. Une télévision qui l'a 24/24 pour voir toutes nouvelles nationales et internationales. D'ailleurs, si vous avez aimé produire émission par sur radio ou bien sur télévision BCN, ou t'as aimé nous filmer service dimanche l'église ou, pas de problème. Juste relais dans 617 290 16 60. 617 290 16 60 pour plus d'informations. Et pas oublier, nous sur toutes plateformes tant que Roku, Facebook, Fire Stick, YouTube et nous sous chaîne 31.3 local. BCN, c'est télévision pour communauté caribéenne.
Dans le moment, posséder une belle machine, c'est ça tout qu'on t'a souhaité. Parfois, il est difficile pour une compagnie qui compte machine bien, qui peut réaliser à vous, qui sait posséder une bonne machine. Orelov Motors, qui est spécialisé dans la vente machine neuve et usagée, sous besoin d'une bonne et belle machine, voiture ou camion, contactez-nous quel que soit côté et sous la tête, n'a fait livraison à la caille. Dans Orelov Motors, nous compte machine et nous vendons machines de qualité, telles que BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Honda et Latrier. Contactez-nous, nous vendons bon bagaille et au pas cher. Nous chitons dans Massachusetts 71, John Fitch, Highway Fitchburg, Infoline. 978 289 38 75. Ça fait 20 machines au moment, nous c'est mettre question.
Merci.
Go, mama.
Merci parce que vous tournez, vous regardez en causer avec maman. Je dis, on a parlé de dating dans trentaine. So, jeune fille, jeune garçon qui dans trentaine ou bien quarantaine qui toujours pour compte. On a parlé de, on a fait une belle conversation de ça parce que nous connaissons qu'il y a un peu de difficulté d'ailleurs. Mais quand même tout, nous besoin de choses ça servir comme encouragement pour les gens qui pour continuer dans la saison ça pendant single et pas en saison tristesse. Il pas obligé en saison tristesse parce que mariage pas sauvé. Ou gen droit gen désir pour joindre un monde mais si ou pas ko joindre ni toujours a pas plaisir pour juste give up pour pas enjoy la vie hein. Nous ka deux belles dames ça qui avec moi n'a parlé de ça n'a parlé gens yo vivent vie qui complet mais quand même yo gen désir là pour yo joindre un monde et puis n'a parlé qui complication qui gagne dans monde là kounya avec pour nous joindre un bon monde qui au ka faire vivre parce que ou pas vle venir joindre un monde qui pral servi comme on chaîne ou bien on coq dans corps qui a vinn et rendre la vie difficile parce que je toujours dis mon ça I always say les femmes me demandent oh maman pas jeune monde puis depuis me capable lever me sourire chaque jour si on a venir ou pas retirer sourire ça so besoin toujours la vie pour qu'elle me content so besoin monde qui va ajouter ce contentement ça so anyways Rachel it's your turn because I had asked girls about being approached so do people approach you?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so people definitely approach me. I also don't mind approaching men. I will say that majority of the men who do approach me tend to not be available in one way or another, whether it's, they're in a relationship, they're not emotionally available, or there's just some aspect of just not being available there, which is challenging. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's the same thing because my mom asks me all the time. Recently she was like, and it's kind of like, well, yes, but it's the type of people that are approaching you.
Right.
And I think, Dominique, mettez moi sur écran, oui. Si on moun dans quelques minutes nous rete si on moun vle relé pour faire commentaire, what's the number? Vous voulez me numéro 1? What's the number? Li di mia evita ku Dominique konem. Si vous voulez relé kounya, nous gen quelques minutes toujours avant choix fini ou ka relé pour ba opinion ou bien poser une question. But going back to it, maman toujours demande moi si moun pas approcher. Moun gen wa approcher ou. Mais ça pas vle di moun sa ka approche là, c'est un moun qui up to your standards. Ou bien tout, ou ka al non date avec moun, that's part of collecting data. You're dating, parce que ça veut dire premier moun ou date là c'est avec ou pas le marier because faut prendre son pour qu'a faire un bon choix et puis faut prier sous lui tout. Si vous sont chrétien, obviously. Numéro c'est 617 290 1660. 617-290-1660. If you want to call just to chat with us, feel free to give us a call now.
What's the number in English, please?
617-290-1660. What did I say?
Oh, no, I thought you just said it in Creole.
Oh, no, I said it in English. I was like, wait, are you questioning my English?
No, sorry.
Rachel a questionné anglais, bon Dieu. But I had another question that now since I've lost my train of thought. But well, let's talk more about some of the recent experience that you guys have had in your own dating. I know for me, a lot of times you connect with men, and again, it could be because of society right now. There is such a higher number of women. And men always think that they have choices.
Right.
So therefore, they could be talking to you, but they're talking to 6 other people. And so with women, often we talk to one person. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, when you're dating, do you date just one person, you focus on him, or are you open? And again, on a parlé de dating, on dit que on a une relation intime. On a dating ou juste apprendre connaître de monde. So anyways, I'll save my opinion for later. But do you only date one person at a time, or do you date multiple people?
So I have dated just one person at a time.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that anymore.
Okay.
Because again, I just you have to cast a wide net, not put all your eggs in one basket. You know, at this point, it's just like I am a firm believer in dating multiple people and just, doing a process of elimination. Because somebody's going to let you down.
Yes.
So I need to practice that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And a lot of men have issues with that, which, again, when we have the panel with other men, we can hear their issues.
Yeah.
What about you, Rach? Do you date one person at a time?
I'm guilty of just dating one person at a time, and I get invested, I put all my eggs in one basket. So that's definitely something I do need to be more open to, is just being open to dating multiple men, several
and
men.
Is it, do you think,
of men.
but do you think it's because of just being Haitian and how the role of women are perceived, or just society itself, that in general at large, that men have carte blanche to date multiple women and not be looked upon as given the side eye? But if a woman has, I'm dating Bob today, I'm seeing Steve tomorrow, I'm seeing whoever the next day, then people automatically assume there's more going on than just me sharing a meal with someone and just having conversation.
I mean, for me personally, I don't know what it's been.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I become too hyper focused on that one individual, and I think that I expect too much too early from that one individual.
Is that level of romanticizing, especially if you like them?
Yes.
You kind of hone in and already changing your last name?
Yeah. Admittedly.
Stop that. So stop that.
It's like too much Hallmark, Lifetime. We're done with that.
No, I think that women need to hear that.
Yeah.
We need to stop that. I think that's part of us learning to date.
Right.
When you're in your dating season, until, sir, you have said, I want you to be my girlfriend, and I'm your man, and we want to work towards something that's going to lead to marriage, then, sir, I am single.
Right.
I am single until I have a ring.
Right.
So even if we're in a committed relationship, I know I'm committed to you, but if we're just dating, we haven't made that commitment. Yes, Dominique, you can look at me all you want. I am single until I have a ring, but we can be in a committed relationship, and I respect myself, I respect you. But if we have not had that conversation, and I think a lot of women, we do ourselves a disservice when this man has not claimed you. Right. He's hanging out with you, but he didn't say you were his girlfriend or you were the only one. That conversation needs to happen. Right. And so we limit ourselves when we just focus on Tijan, and Tijan has Nadej and Mimos and so that he's dating. Well, we're Haitian, so, and Mali, and then Kunyo Shita, and then Tijan's like, oh, well, I'm choisi. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that women need to hear that.
Absolutely.
All right, so nobody's calling, which is good. That's
Good.
okay.
We're not on the hot seat. Okay.
We're going to wrap it up anyways. But what are some advice if you were talking to your 25-year-old self? Now you're 35. What advice would you give to your 25-year-old self? Whoever wants to go first.
I'm gonna, tell my 25-year-old self to just keep doing what you're doing. Keep enjoying your friendships, traveling the world, having a blast, and you're on the right path.
That was a great advice. What about you?
Definitely similar. I think, just focus on traveling just because I do enjoy that. But also just, continuing to get to relearn yourself as an individual. I think that's important because, we evolve as humans over time and our standards change, our expectations change. So that's what I would say to my 25-year-old self.
I think those are great advice. Somebody just wrote, was it Junior? This is what dating with purpose. This is why you date with purpose. And I think to answer your question, Junior, well, not a question, but your statement, to comment on your statement, I think you could still be dating with purpose. But again, people have different purposes.
Right.
And, some men are great con artists. Not being negative about men, but we got to keep it real. And they will tell you they're dating with purpose, but they're dating multiple people with purpose. So I think the same expectation should be set for women that, and again, we want to emphasize, dating does not mean that you're getting any of my good goods. It just means that we're sharing a meal, we're having conversation, we're getting to know each other. So that's part of dating. And then once you have reached that stage where you both decide that you want to be committed, then you're committed. But I think until, sir,
Right.
ou a di maman mwen mon vlo menaj mwen, then pou m di oui, then no, you gen arrive nan restaurant, you see me with T-Bob, T-Jean. So I think that's important. But anyways, so before we wrap up, what are some last words you want to share with our friends watching? Some of the things that you felt like I didn't ask you, or I'll start with you, Curls.
I would just say I'd like to re-emphasize, keep your options open.
Yes.
And date multiple people.
Okay. Those are your last words?
Those are my last words.
I think you just gave your mom a heart attack.
I need, and I think that I re-emphasized it. Sure. Sure. You can say it in Creole. Because that's the reality that we're living in.
Yeah.
So, and I think I needed to just re-emphasize that for myself.
Yeah.
Because that's just what it is.
And be approachable. Yeah. Rach?
I think for me, it's going to be invest in yourself. You are going to be your greatest investment. Education-wise, financially, just invest in yourself. Make yourself so happy. Life is so short. And partners come and they go. Married people, they end up in divorce. Things happen. But if you are grounded in who you are and you love who you are and you know how to make yourself happy and feel loved, you'll always be okay.
Yeah.
So
That was well said, Rachel.
Well said.
yeah.
So thank you. Tout moun ki tap gade. But en résumé, show an jodi an, ou te gen dwa nou ri an pil, nou bay ti blag tout, men gon nivou nan show a ki serye tout, paske pandan sezon fèt la, an pil moun gen dwa santi yo pou kont yo, an pil moun gen dwa santi yo atriste, paske yo nan sezon kote yo pa gen yon moun, yo pa gen yon partner. Mesdames yo, peut-être si ou kompren anglais, ou ka kompren sa yo di lan focus nan tête tout, but si ou son chrétien tout, focus dans la relation avec bon Dieu. Parce que je pense que c'est important pour même plus apprendre à remettre tête tout. Parce que l'on remet tête tout, quand qui est souillé, on va accepter n'importe bagaille. Et on va comprendre tout, saison Paul arrivé, c'est that's the right time. Pas gon le, pas gen rien qui en retard. C'est comme ça, moi toujours, c'est que c'est dans niveau ça m'y kounya. So, pile fois, moi, gen doit penser, oh, pour diable, il pas gen moun, pas dit pour diable. Parce que nous vivons une vie qui complète et nous avons besoin de ça pour tout le monde. Tout le monde qui a regardé. Si on a saison kounya ou single, ça veut dire la vie, un pile bagay ou ka fait pendant ou attend moun ou si bon Dieu gen moun li serré pour. Et s'il passe le tout pour la vie toujours OK. It's all right. Merci pour ce que tu branché, me souhaite tu passé ou tu remet show, me souhaite tu joindre bagay là nan qui te vini à ou même. L'autre semaine branché encore pour l'autre émission en cause. Et puis nous avons l'autre show, nous avons fait, vous reconnaissez, mais les mesdames, nous avons tourné encore et nous avons besoin de 2 jeunes garçons qui sont en trentaine, qui tout à fait bon. Et bien, tant que vous venez et puis vous êtes dans le basement de maman, ou pas travail, et vous cherchez une femme pour occuper, nous ne pas faire ça. Ou sont jeunes garçons qui ou à l'école ou gain carrière même si pas à l'école parce que l'école est pour tout le monde ou gain doit gain maîtrise dans main et puis ou préparer ou gain l'argent en banque ou gain parce que mesdames yo tout les gain caillou ou gain l'argent en banque ou paré pour une relation. c'est ça on a demandé parce que gon niveau gon standard que nous gain dans Boston Caribbean Network. Merci encore parce que tu es branché pour l'émission En Causer avec Zami ou Mama. M'apprécie tout l'amour que nous voyons ba moi. Nous jouons message nous connaissons un show à continuer garder show. Oh my goodness, l'autre mois fait nous 2 ans depuis En Causer sous BCN. So nous célébrer en décembre nous célébrer en grand gens parce que En Causer gagne 2 ans et parce qu'en pile l'amour nous voyons ba moi. So me dit nous merci. Nous besoin dire merci à ma tante qui a gardé kounya tante Thérèse, maman Kelly qui a gardé. Merci ma tante parce que toujours supporter show. Moi connais maman m'a gardé tout maman merci parce que ou juste c'est renouer. So connais qui j'aime vraiment. Merci tout le monde parce que t'es branché pour l'autre émission En Causer now l'autre dimanche.
BCN, Boston Caribbean Network Television, c'est première télévision communautaire et commerciale qui est là pour promouvoir valeurs culturelles, sociales et historiques pays d'Haïti. Une télévision qui a 24/24 pour voir toutes nouvelles nationales et internationales. D'ailleurs, si vous avez aimé produire émission par sur radio ou bien sur télévision BCN, ou avez aimé nous filmer service dimanche l'église ou pas de problème, juste relais dans 617 290 16 60 617 290 16 60 pour plus d'informations. Et pas oublier, nous sur toutes plateformes comme Roku, Facebook, Fire Stick, YouTube et nous sous chaîne 31.3 local. BCN, c'est télévision pour communauté caribéenne.
Dans le moment, posséder une belle machine, c'est ça tout qu'on t'a souhaité. Parfois, il est difficile pour une compagnie qui a une machine bien, qui peut réaliser à vous, qui sait posséder une bonne machine. Orelov Motors, qui est spécialisé dans la bonne machine neuve à usagers, sous besoin d'une bonne et belle machine, voiture ou camion, contactez-nous quel que soit côté et sous la terre, n'a fait livraison à la caille. Dans Orelov Motors, nous avons une machine et nous avons une machine de qualité, telles que BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Honda et Latrier. Contactez-nous, nous vendons bon bagaille et au pas cher. Nous chitons dans Massachusetts 71, John Fitch, Highway Fitchburg, Infoline. 978 289 38 75. Ça fait 20 machines au moment, nous c'est mettre question. Dans le moment, posséder une belle machine, c'est ça tout qu'on t'a souhaité. Parfois, il est difficile pour une compagnie qui a une machine bien, qui peut réaliser à vous, qui sait posséder une bonne machine. Orelov Motors, qui est spécialisé dans la bonne machine neuve à usagers, sous besoin d'une bonne et belle machine, voiture ou camion, contactez-nous quel que soit côté et sous la terre, n'a fait livraison à la caille. Dans Orelov Motors, nous avons une machine et nous avons une machine de qualité, telles que BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, Honda et Latrier. Contactez-nous, nous vendons bon bagaille et au pas cher. Nous chitons dans Massachusetts 71, John Fitch, Highway Fitchburg, Infoline. 978 289 38 75. Ça fait 20 machines au moment, nous c'est mettre question.